Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. It's Rich Sheffrin, and welcome to a live stream. It's been a while since I've done one. It's actually been about 3 weeks or 2 weeks. I've been traveling around the world, actually. And so today, what we're going to be talking about is how to leverage attention to really make anything that you do more effective online. And so it's my hope today to really get into a discussion with you about and get you thinking differently about attention. And it's been a focus of mine, attention that is, ever since I wrote the Attention Age Doctrines 1 and 2 back in 2007. So in 2007, I wrote the Attention Age Doctrine 1, which was all about how my belief that attention was quickly becoming the, let me just get rid of this here. I just want to, there we go. Attention was quickly becoming the scarcest commodity online, and what the implications of that were for the entrepreneur, as well as for a marketer and getting the attention of prospects. And then later that year, I wrote the Attention Age Doctrine 2, which was all about where I felt people's attention was going to go and what the impact of that was as we ushered into Web 2.0 at that time. And now people are talking about Web 3.0. So I'm really excited to be here because I've really missed doing these for the last 2 weeks. So by all means, please, if you're seeing this, say hello and let me know where you're watching from. And as I always say during these live streams is let's try and make this as much of a dialogue and less of a monologue, primarily because, one, it's more interesting for everyone if I'm not just up here pontificating the whole time. But also, it will help you get more value from everything that we cover. So I thought it would be fun, and I'm not sure exactly how to do this. I think, actually, I do know how to do this. I wanted to show you what I was wearing during a presentation that, 2 different presentations, actually, that I did recently to really kind of cement this idea about attention. So I was at 2 different events and show you, let's see here. Hold on. Just got to, I'm going to move to a different one here. So I'll be facing the other way for a second. There we go. And here, let's see how this looks. So there I am on stage. That was in Mexico. And then I did another presentation this past week. Let's see if I can just, can I put this in front? I guess I can't. I did another presentation this past week in Las Vegas, and both of them I opened wearing this robe. Now, it might seem kind of crazy, right? To at a place where everyone else is giving presentations kind of in suits and stuff, for me to come out in a robe. But the reason I did that was to illustrate the point about what people will remember and what they won't. And that, you know, I've been teaching this line of thinking about marketing strategies and marketing tactics in general that relate to a curve that all marketing strategies and tactics go down. That as a strategy goes from something that is brand new, which attracts a lot of extra attention, even if it's only for a few seconds, makes a huge difference in response rates. And that as the tactic or strategy becomes more well-known until ultimately it's in a course and becomes more known by many, the effectiveness of that tactic or strategy goes down. And then as it proceeds to eventually get to where everybody knows, it works with effort, but won't work just because. And so the effort always increases over time while the results go down over time. And that's every marketing strategy or tactic. And one of the primary reasons is that is the extra attention that you get when a tactic is new, right? So I don't know how many of you remember the first time they came across a VSL, but for many people, right, they were curious what it was, and they watched it for longer than they do today for a VSL, which is why, right, that if you were to create a VSL today, you have to do better. You have to do other things to try and capture attention at the beginning of the promo, because just it being a VSL is no longer enough. Let me know if that makes sense for you. And then also, I'd love to know what, if anything, that you've done that's been effective or not effective as far as getting attention. I can tell you that in basically every launch I've ever done, I did something at the beginning to capture attention. And more, I believe that in anything that you do, when doing it online, if you can do it in a way where it gets you an increase of attention, like I said, even for just a few seconds, it can make a substantial difference, a ginormous difference, if you will, of the impact on conversions. And I know I said it, but damn, it feels good to be back here. After traveling for like 3 weeks, right? I went to Todd Brown's MFA top 1%, his mastermind. Then from there, I think we spent a day or two at home and went straight to Cabo in Mexico for Amber Spears' Mimosa Mastermind, which was fantastic. And then out to Attract, Convert, and Scale, ACS, in Las Vegas, put on by Jeremy Blossom and his partner. And that was primarily for financial publishers for the most part, and also a really good time. But if you go from place to place to place, oftentimes it's a little bit, gets a little bit, I get a little bit homesick. I like my house. I like being here. I like being here with you. It is good to see you, Gogo, and everyone else. Thank you. And Tommy, good to see you. And Lisa in Miami Beach, always good to see you. And Jason, right? Yep, Jason, thanks for the welcome back and tuning in from Tampa. Good to see you. And John from Alberta, Canada. And Curtis from Edmonton, Canada. And nice dice. Jim Brown in San Diego. And Red Lip in Colombia. And Glenn, my neighbor in Highland Beach. Obviously, something that I always said in the beginning that I've completely forgotten is that the more you comment, also, the better it is for me. The more you emote, the better it is for me. That's because the algorithm gods see that as engagement and then reward that additional engagement by showing it to more people who should be receiving it. And obviously, the way that you can help me the most, if you feel in a giving mood, is to share it. And when you share it, please put #shared in the comments section so that I can personally thank you. And as I said, let's talk about attention and what, if anything, have you done to try and capture attention either at the beginning of a campaign or the beginning of a promo. And if you haven't, then you should feel very happy to be here, because this is one of the easiest ways to actually boost conversion without having to do anything else. Odds are is that if you're not doing anything to specifically to capture attention, then you're paying a price for it. It's an unrealized cost. You don't know how much you're paying for it, but you can get a sense of it by how many people end up hitting the back button and don't engage, kind of a bounce on your sales pages, versus how many people actually dive into that page, lean in, and you've actually captured their attention. You know, I share this, but I don't, and I share it because I think most people are not aware of this, but Publishers Clearinghouse, which, you know, you'd like to think, and I'm sure they do, they've spent a lot of money over decades, really, testing in direct mail. And, you know, if you've gotten a Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes, you know, envelope, you'll see that they have like stickers, and you move stickers from one place to another. Now, why do they do that? They do that because it increases conversion. Now, why does it increase conversion? It increases conversion because it gets people to spend more time with the promotion. More time, right, even at the same level of attention, equals more attention at the end of the day. And that increased attention increases response rates. Now that's throughout, but where we want to focus on this live stream is really what's done at the beginning, right? So I showed you a picture of me walking on stage wearing a Versace bathrobe. The way I start that presentation is different from every other presentation that's been started. In fact, every presentation that most people in the audience have ever been to. And so because I'm walking out in a bathrobe, it automatically creates this, what the hell is going on, right? And that what the hell is going on, if my intention was ultimately to pitch something, I would be better off with something like that, even if it's at the beginning, especially if I were to tie it into something at the end. So let's see some other comments here, and then we'll proceed further. Hi, Rich from Arizona. It seems the keys to attention are based around king content, queen marketing. What are your best content creation strategies that are getting you most results right now? Yes and no, Go. I think, I'm sorry, Poet. I thought it was Go. I would say that is what keeps attention, but doesn't necessarily get attention. That great content will hold people once they engage with it. But I don't know about you, but if you've ever owned a book for a long period of time and then opened it 5 years after you bought it and you're like, wow, this is a really good book, you can see that it sat on your shelf for 5 years, right? And we don't really know whether something is good until we actually engage with it. So what I'm talking about is really what can be done to get a couple extra seconds so people are more likely to engage with it in the first place. Now, obviously, once they're engaged, if the content is better, you have an easier time of getting them to stick around. But I don't know that most people will inherently just give more attention to great content unless it's already from a brand or a personality that prospect, that visitor appreciates and also is familiar with. Indeed. Cool, Curtis. I am using our adorable little dog as a mascot and it's working perfect. Yeah, that's if that gets people's attention, right? Which I could see something like that working, then you have this added benefit of, if you're consistent, right, of building a brand around that dog for people who become more familiar, and yet at the same time is using something that can grab attention from new people as well. And so you kind of have something working there that's actually good on both accounts. So props to you, Leanne. What do you sell? I'm curious, like what you sell where the dog is the mascot of. Are we speaking from a pattern interrupt standpoint? A lot of times it could be a pattern interrupt, but it can also just be something new. So you could say that the bathrobe, for example, was a pattern interrupt, and that would be a good way to describe it. However, when I've done like a massive live stream or something, or a 24-hour live stream or something to that effect, it's not so much a publicity stunt as it is more or a pattern interrupt rather, as it is a publicity stunt or a thing that is just designed really to get people to talk to one another, right? So you could say that one of the things to think about is, what can I do that would have people in my market or prospects or whomever you're going after share it with others? Not necessarily send out a link or something, but like, have you heard what Sheffrin's doing? Or let me tell you about what I just heard someone's doing, right? Or something like that. Are you giving them something worthy of really what social capital, like making them more interesting because they're sharing it, kind of like a joke, is one way to think about it. So a pattern interrupt would be one way, but there are many other ways as well, and some that are more conducive or more in alignment or more supportive of what the ultimate goal is. So when I did my first 26-hour live stream, right back in 2008, I sat at my desk for 26 hours straight and answered people's questions for 26 hours about how to grow their online business. Now, we were launching a coaching program. So in one way, the 26 hours was a publicity stunt because it got a bunch of people who were immensely curious how I would hold up. So we got a lot more traffic in hours 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26, which is why I actually extended it from 24 to 26. Now, having said that, what I was doing for all 26 hours was doing what was really giving people a free sample, you could say, of me coaching and me as a coach. So it wasn't only a way of capturing attention, it was a way of capturing attention and also reinforcing the selling point, right? And nowadays, where I spend the majority of my time with our product, Steal Our Winners, one of the reasons why winners win is because of their recency, that they're relatively new. And that recency often is not blocked, you could say, by filters, attention filters that people have developed over time. So even when it's not like something startling or a pattern interrupt, it still gets the right people's attention at the right time because of what's being done or what's being engineered, which we can certainly get into as people might have questions or whatnot. Okay, let's see. I think I skipped some. Here we go. Amy McPherson once rode a motorcycle from the balcony to the stage as an intro to her sermon. Exactly. And I'm sure that got lots of people's attention. And in that moment, people were very curious, like what she would say next. Shared. Thank you, Curtis, for sharing. Permaculture. Not sure what you mean by that. Oh, that's what you sell. What is permaculture? I don't even know what permaculture is. I'd look it up, but I think that'd be rude to do right now. I thought it would be against the rules. What did you think would be against the rules? Wearing a robe? We are creating a new training center, and he is showing all the stuff we are doing. This simple little video with a theme. Oh, okay. Got it. So you're creating a new training center, and the dog is showing simple videos with a theme. Cool. Got it. Hey, Rich, how's the mimosas in Mexico? I didn't have any. I had a lot of margaritas. And then in Las Vegas, I met a gentleman by the name of Ite. A lot of people know him. I never met him before, or I did meet him before, but I didn't know him. And he shared with me a couple shots of Pappy Van Winkle's, which is a bourbon that I've always wanted to try, but never had the opportunity. They're very rare. And so that was in Vegas, though. And in Mexico, it was margaritas for the most part. Amy wore a policeman uniform and yelled, "Stop, you are going to hell." Well, that would certainly get people's attention. So sometimes, right, like what I don't want people to do is be constrained by any specific ways of doing this, that really this is an exercise in your own creativity and what you believe the marketplace has seen before and what they haven't, because ultimately what gets people's attention is something that they haven't seen before, if you can kind of think about that. And so there's lots of things that your prospects have not seen before. And then the question is what of those things could potentially be fascinating to them, mysterious, capture their attention in some way, right? So like, as I shared, when I did the 26-hour live stream, a lot of people were interested in how I would hold up. Like, what would I look like after 23 hours of answering people's questions? And, would I still be in control of my facilities? Would I be asleep? Would I be falling asleep when I'm giving answers and such forth, right? So there was a interest in that, right? But you could also say that when I first started writing free reports in 2006, that in and of itself was something that got people's attention. And the reason why is that information like that packaged that way had not been given out for free before. And so just because of that, right? Something that nowadays, right, someone releases a free PDF, it's not a big deal. But at that time, it was. And so that it's really a question of timing very often, right? Because the same thing, like if I were to do a 26-hour live stream, me sitting at my desk today, I would not get anywhere near the number of people tuning in. And a great evidence of that is like, look at this live stream, right? Right now, we have about 50 people on it. And I'm sure that within a week from now, we'll probably get like 1,000 people who have watched it. When you add up, or maybe 1,500 when you add up like Facebook and YouTube. But, you know, my very first live stream, we didn't advertise, we didn't do anything. And we had 10,000 people show up live. And we could have had more people, but that's the max that we could hold. And the reason why was that was the first live stream ever from a seminar. And that was in 2007. We used AT&T. We snaked ISDN lines through the hotel. We had the satellite trucks outside. We had the whole thing, right? So even with live streaming, we can see that it is no longer new and novel. It is not like interesting in and of its own account. And so therefore, what needs to be done in a live stream is a lot bigger, heftier, more, so that attention, if you wanted to use a live stream, can still be gotten. And, you know, so maybe now a live stream from Fort Knox, right? Like I'm going to be broadcasting live from Fort Knox, or I'm going to fly around the world. It's going to take 30 hours, and I'm going to broadcast the whole 30 hours live as we fly around the world from my plane, right? I don't have a plane. I'm just making up a story there. But something to that effect, right? Like, but the live stream itself now is no longer in and of itself as powerful as necessary. All right, Tom E. Rich, I once designed a logo stamped tin with chocolates to promote aircraft services for global aircraft maintenance company. Nice brochure inside that folded into an airplane. Huge success. Very cool. Yeah, it probably got people's attention. If ancient kings can wear royal robes for everyday business, why not you? Culture, times, and history dictate people's perception. Yeah, and you know, for me, it was really more to, you know, one, to get people's attention. Two, my girlfriend Kim had bought me that robe as a gift because it's something I had wanted. And so I've had it for about a year. And a lot of the people that I love to watch and follow have worn it publicly. That includes Tyson Fury, the world champion boxer, world heavyweight champion boxer, Conor McGregor, and Jorge Masvidal have all worn the exact same robe. And so this was a chance for me to wear it publicly, which I just thought would be fun. But it worked. And that's the important part of why I'm bringing it up here. Where do you think we're heading in terms of getting and keeping attention, since platforms like Facebook decide who will see your live stream? Yeah. Well, look, if I was doing something where I was trying to maximize the attention I was getting, I don't know that I would be using a Facebook live stream for sure, or a YouTube live stream, because I'd be at the mercy of the platforms. Now that doesn't mean that that I would try and make it absent from the platforms. I just wouldn't be reliant on the platforms. And what you ultimately need to be thinking about is what is worth talking about. And, you know, it's something that I've shared God knows how many times, because I've had a few reports go viral, right? You know, millions and millions and millions of downloads. People ask me like how they can engineer their own viralness, as if it was as simple of an answer that I could just provide, and I can't. But what I can say is like, and I've said this numerous times, is like, let's be very clear that people passed along the manifesto not because they love me. It has nothing to do with me. People passed it along because they love their friends and they saw this as something that would help them. And so that's, like I said, a form of social currency. And so just like a good joke is, right? If someone tells you a good joke, you laugh. If you remember it, you can tell that joke because it makes you seem funnier or a better sense of humor or something like that. So what is it that you could do that would get other people talking about it, and talking about it because either it's unique and different, and so that kind of makes them in the know, or because it is just out there outlandish, or it's highly valuable, but something, right, that ultimately gives people a reason to talk about it. If you've ever been told a secret and felt like you were bursting at the seams to kind of share it, but knew you couldn't, and had that frustration, you just wanted to share it. What is it that you can do in your marketing that would be like that? What is it that you could do at the beginning of a VSL? What is it that you could do at the beginning of a campaign? What is it at the beginning of a webinar, a live stream, right? Where it would be unexpected, where it would really kind of give people something that they would feel that same amount of tension and pressure to share it, like that of a secret. Let's see. All right. There we go. Yeah, Fort Knox is the gold standard. Well, I'm just saying, like, that would be different. I would tune in if someone was doing a live stream from Fort Knox, or a bank vault with millions of dollars in it, or a jet flying all around the world. I mean, there are examples of that, right? Uniforms of our sports teams are obviously designed to attract attention, whereas their play on the field or arena dictate whether they stay around. Yeah, you could say that. Just a heads up, a few seals have broken in my head since listening to you filling notebook. Cool, Arthur, and thanks for saying that. Personally, something in me likes the unexpected in life. It makes it adventurous. You can take away swords and knives from boys, but they will go out and find a stick to convert into a weapon. We love the different, for it's a sparker, and humans love sparks. I would agree with that. I would certainly agree with that. But when was the last time you did something different in your marketing? By the way, I'd like to thank you for the manifesto, the core concept, and the core concept report. No doubt brought me at least $1 million. Well, that's certainly nice to say, John. I appreciate that. I'm taking a picture of that because why wouldn't I? So I shared with you, right, that I did. So my very first launch was the Manifesto launch, and it was the fact that someone was giving something like this out for free, and that was enough for it to go viral and make me millions of dollars and make me well known. The very next launch I did was live from the seminar. That was my broadcasting live from our seminar, and that was in the beginning of 2007. And that also, we had 10,000 people tune in, and we would have had more, but that was the max bandwidth that could be done at that time. And we sold my program because the seminar was a 3-day event, and it was free for clients. And so we broadcasted the first hour, and then we let people become a client right then and there, and then they could watch the next 3 days. And I think we were selling about 100 a minute, so about $300,000 a minute was what we were making. And Jeff Walker was there with me. He wanted me to pull the plug after a minute. I fought with him because, it's not very often you make $300,000 an hour. And we pulled it at like 3 minutes or 3.5 minutes. And the reason that we did that, why would we pull an offer that was crushing it like that, is something I learned from Jeff, and that is that scarcity travels. So when you have an offer that has scarcity and people get boxed out of it, they respond to the next offer, even if there is no scarcity, as if there was major scarcity. And so we were launching 2 weeks later, we launched the actual monthly version, Business Growth System, my coaching program. And so we sold a lot more of it, primarily because of what just transpired during that live stream, right? During the first live from a seminar. And then I'm trying to think of what was next. I wrote the final chapter. That was doing a group project with Agora, so that was a little bit different. Then there was the Attention Age Doctrine 1 and 2. And in the Attention Age Doctrine 1, I still had a lot of banked up goodwill and about the reports. So by releasing the Attention Age Doctrine 1 and making a big deal about it, the fact that there was this whole new way of looking at what's happening online, and there were severe implications of it. We had trailers for the report, and there was a waiting list for the report as I finished it, and so we built it up into a big event. Then we had a contest, but we didn't give people a lot of guidance on the contest, and found that it did okay, the contest, but we learned a lot from that contest of how we could do it better. It was a video contest. So we did a video contest for the Attention Age Doctrine 2. And I also did an event around that as well, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, it was after. And the Attention Age Doctrine 2, I'm just trying to think of, we had a contest and we gave people very specific instructions. So in that, it was create a 66-second video. Now, this is pre the iPhone. So you had to have a separate video camera, but we got a lot of people to participate, several hundred. We wanted you to create a 66-second video where the first 60 seconds, you did something that got attention. And we had comedy, we had transformation, we had a bunch of different categories. I think we had 4 or 5 categories. And then the last 6 seconds was advertise the Attention Age Doctrine. And we partnered with Traffic Geyser, and so people could load their videos up into Traffic Geyser. It would be populated all over the internet. We had every submission on pages on our blog, and people could vote on those by social media button. So when they voted on it, they were bookmarking it to social media, which gave us more traffic and brought more people. So the more people that came and the more people that voted brought more people, right? In addition, those videos were all over the place. In fact, for one of the teaching things I did for Google and Microsoft and Yahoo was for the largest internet provider and yellow page provider in the Netherlands. And they found me by going to YouTube on one of the days where most of those were released. And so they saw me all over the place with a message that was relevant, which, just goes to show what we're talking about here. And so that was, now my very next launch was for the GPS coaching program, which was when I did that 26-hour live stream. And so I'm going to check back in to see what kind of questions you have, but I can go deep with this stuff, but would really love to go back and forth with you, any of you, see what you've done or what you have and what ideas, if you're lost for an idea about getting attention. I'd be curious to see if I could help you right here, right now, come up with something better. Can't promise. Don't know how good my brain is today with all just getting back in the groove, but from all the travel. But I'd like to give it a shot, that's for sure. Core values and virtues matter. Learning as an open-ended philosophy is not dead. I agree with that, but I don't know how that necessarily relates to our topic right now, Arthur. It's all a pursuit. Yeah, I would say so. Timestamp Internet Business Manifesto. Cool. Speaking of attention, is it better to show people landing pages with only VSL, or is it better to show VSL with sales letter under it? Well, one depends on where most of your traffic is coming from. So that's one. Is it mobile or is it desktop? And if it's mobile, then I would say just the VSL. And then there is also something called an exploding VSL, where it takes up the full screen automatically. And that has been shown to increase conversion rates as well. And so that would be something to strongly consider. But it really kind of depends, first and foremost, where the traffic is coming from. And if it's mobile traffic, better to be as streamlined as possible. Thanks, Rich. Off to Profit Singularity chat for now. Well, enjoy, Curtis, and you're in good hands. I run an HVAC company in Toronto, Canada, looking for ideas to dominate my brand. All right. Well, it depends what kind of advertising you do, right? So I don't know that this is necessarily a good strategy, right? But down here in Florida, where pretty much, it's an absolute must to have air conditioning. There's a company that, an air conditioning company, and goes to show you how not good the ad is, but how good it is, maybe getting attention. There are billboards that say your wife is hot, right? And it's really a ad for air conditioning. But, I would think of like, what would be a extreme test? Is there any way that you can prove superior ability, Len, as far as what it is you do? Could you cool a place that most people don't think could be cooled, or heat a place that most people don't think could be heated? Like, is there anything that is unique, interesting, or different in what you've done in the past that could be mined as a story, as a kind of believe it or not, or something to that effect, right? So I would think about the most unusual things that have happened to you over the course of owning this HVAC company. And if any of those have any greater, like, would have impact today, even shared as a story, that would be one place to look, Len. So you've got experience in this industry. What are some of the most unusual things that you've been exposed to? And do any of them still hold any heft today? Leanne, to briefly answer your question, permaculture is the way to organize a property in a self-sustainable way, optimizing the synergy between all the working parts: energy, food production, waste management, animal husbandry, building, positioning, as some simple example. And I help people who feel they need to have an autonomous base look for, plan, and organize their move. So what is the best way to move from friendly videos to awakening the desire to contact us to create their own base? Great question. Well, I would imagine, Leanne, that there's been an increase in the interest for your services overall. I mean, it's not any I hope it's not a surprise to anyone here that, like, at least half the country feels like we're going in a very bad direction, right? And gas prices will easily be at $5 a gallon, I would say, within a matter of months, definitely by 2021 at some point. Then there's inflation. And while when we look at inflation overall, it's like, I think 6.6% or 6.3%, which is a 30-year high. If we look at inflation as it relates to just gas and food, two things that pretty much everyone buys, it's up 220%. So I think, and there's been a breakdown in a lot of communities, that there are home invasion crimes are up in California, and I imagine they're up in other places too. So this idea, right, of wanting to be autonomous, getting off the grid, so to speak, and being more master of your own fate is something that I don't think is a particularly hard sell at the moment. The question is can you? So the first thing I would do is I would start collecting, if you haven't, any video footage I can find that kind of supports that, right? Kind of like, I don't know if you saw it or not, but there was controversy around Joe Rogan and Joe Rogan taking ivermectin, and him being upset that CNN was calling it a horse dewormer when he got it prescribed by a doctor. And so one of the things that Rogan just speculated was, like, maybe they're coming after me so hard because Pfizer and the other drug company are releasing their own versions of an ivermectin or something like that, an anti-whatever. And I'm not a doctor, and I'm not pretending to know anything about this. I'm just sharing the story to illustrate a point. And really, what I needed to share now will make sense. So people were inspired by that, and some people put together clips. I saw one like 4 minutes long, where pretty much every single news channel and most shows on those news channels had at one point or another been sponsored by Pfizer. So you saw Good Morning America, sponsored by Pfizer, CNN Hour, sponsored by Pfizer, Wolf Blitzer, sponsored by Pfizer, right? All these one after another for 4 minutes, right? Which kind of sealed the kind of point of how the news potentially is swayed by one of the biggest sponsors and advertisers on TV today. And so It's kind of, I don't know if you ever saw the clip, Leanne, of mine as it relates to the promo for the docuseries that we had, but I know it's up on YouTube. And I started some of the live streams with it, but it kind of shows some of the ripple effect and damage that the virus has done. And so I would say that I would be collecting that kind of stuff, because you could create a sizzle reel that would scare the bejesus out of people. And some people need to be scared in your line of work to get them to kind of wake up to the threats around them. In fact, there's been more home burglaries and invasions in our neighborhood, and I've always been anti-gun. And but a friend of ours. I was over their house. He's a former SWAT police officer, and I was asking him, like, what would be a safe gun to get for the house that would really be there for only one thing, and that would be for intruders. And he recommended certain shotguns to me. But my point in sharing that is just that I think it's on a lot of people's minds, right? So really, I think you have to connect and get attention by getting some really good video editing of the precarious situation that most of us are in today regarding electricity, water, fuel, etc., food, right? And I think that a great time, the supply chains will be problematic in this fourth quarter, especially for Christmas. And I think that playing with that idea and really kind of thinking about a 90-second to 120-second, many, many jumps, but people kind of sharing different things, but quickly, could create an anxiety in the way it's edited. And the information would be one that could convey concern about where things might be in a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And this idea that if you get in front of it, you can take care of yourself and, even more importantly, your family, and that you don't want to ever look back on this day with regret that you coulda, woulda, shoulda, and now you and your family is suffering because of the decisions that you made and did not make. So I'd kind of think along those lines. And as I thought about it more, I would try to. What generally happens for me is that if I were to do that and I would start watching a lot of stuff and finding lots of stuff, while I'm doing that, I will get other ideas. And I'll get other ideas because as I'm looking at these things, my mind is being triggered over and over again. And oftentimes, after going through a bunch of them, I get my own idea, but it was very much laid out for me in looking at a lot of different people's ideas first. All right, let's see. Still scrolling up just to make sure. All right. Who do you think someone's doing well in getting and keeping attention that we can check out and study? It can be in a different market. Well, I would say, right, that if you heard of $100 million offers, then Alex Hormozi did a good job with what he was doing, right? And there's an example of great content to contradict even what I was saying earlier. But it got attention because people who were influencers like myself, Russell Brunson, a bunch of others, read it and thought it was really good, and then we shared it. And if you get a bunch of us sharing a book that we all read and we all like a lot, it will get attention. So there's that, right? Who else? I think traffic and funnels advertising is very effective and catches people's attention if you've ever come across it. There are the obvious ones, but I don't even want to go there. The question is what gets your attention, John? I think that's really, in your day-to-day, right? Can you kind of, not to get all like metaphysical, right? But can you kind of be a witness to yourself as far as what gets you to stop and get your attention? And then based on that, can you extrapolate what might be effective for others? I use myself as a guinea pig all the time from a standpoint of paying very careful attention of what's going on with me and what gets me pulled in one direction or diverts my attention. And, not that I am just like, every prospect in my market. I certainly am not, but I'm human and they're human. And a lot of times we can extrapolate from there when something has worked on us, why, and then engineer it backwards for our prospects. And I'd say that's something that I've always done. I've always used myself as a reference point of what has gotten my attention as a way of kind of at least self-testing. Is this something that would get my attention? And if so, why? And therefore, does it resonate with my prospects too? Our senses are what react to things. So visual and audio are the two we can use best in our business, Milou. Can you add anything that would tickle our other three senses? Sure. Let's see. Well, I would say that Apple has certainly done that to a certain extent, right? Like, it's one of the reasons that I don't have cases on my iPhone or my Apple products. And part of the reason is that it feels so good in my hand like this. And so I'm willing to take that risk, you could say, because I like the tactile feeling of it. And I feel like it's ruined no matter how small the case is. It doesn't have that same exact feeling. But that goes into more the marketing is built into the product. And I would say Apple is one of the best at that. Then you have the chance of being more tactile. As far as smell, if we're online, that's not really something that can be done right now. Offline uses it quite a bit in stores and such. And smell, touch, taste. Yeah, taste also not necessarily something easily leveraged online. So I think you're right there, James. I struggle to bridge credibility knowing the route is already forged leading to experts like yourself, but how do you determine if your offerings are worthy of both the experts and their audience's attention, as this could explode as did your success? Well, one of the easiest ways, and I'm not sure what it is, Arthur, that you offer, right? But one of the easiest ways to get in with any specific guru or any thought leader, especially if you have a product or service, is to be willing to do that for that person, that thought leader, right? So it's like Vincenzo. Vincenzo came to me with his partner and said, we can get number one rankings in YouTube and we can get you number one rankings in YouTube and we prove it and we'll prove it to you for free. So, sure, I'd love that. And they did prove it. And I've sent them quite a bit of business and relatively easily too, because it's, when I'm talking to a friend of mine, I'm like, oh, by the way, I got these guys that can get you number one rankings in YouTube. Is that something interesting to you? So I'd say that one way definitely to go about it is that if you offer some kind of outcome or deliverable, to be willing to do it for that guru for free. In fact, Felicia Pagesh is working on something right now, and we were talking about it. And my thought is that we should include a guru in each of the modules, and her do that thing, whatever the module is about, for free for that guru. And that is a way that she could get 6 gurus involved in this course and also have built-in promotion partners. So, similar thing than what I just mentioned, right? Just another flavor of it, but probably the easiest way, right? Like, let me get this outcome for you, and then you'll have that experience and you'll be able to either recommend my product or my service or whatnot. And so that's probably the lowest friction way. And especially once you've gotten a good result for one person, then it becomes even easier, because then, if you say you've already done it for this, it's a small world, and your reputation follows you. All right, just looking at other questions. I was still sick the last time I was doing this live stream. Finally better. It was only like in the last week that my resting heart rate finally went back to where it was before I had gotten sick. And for those of you who follow me on Instagram, just really proud of the fact that I jumped 12,500, I think, jumps on Saturday while I was watching the UFC. And I was #1 in the world that day for most amount of jumping rope. Absolutely hot market. Yeah, I would bet it would be. Rich, we're a home building web platform startup now starting to do local metro launches city by city throughout the US. I'd like to connect with you about getting some guidance on the first one we are preparing to do over the next 3 months. What is the best place to connect? I have to get back to our customer service because they've been asking me. Some people have already gotten in touch. So send it to customer support. I don't know what our email is. I think it's support@Strategic Profits. Just say that we're talking today on the live stream, and tomorrow on our morning huddle, I'll make sure to effectively deal with those. Okay, Ron? No, it was not my doing. I would not go and open all my folders. I have 3 antivirus, and PC is almost every time opened by other. I don't know what you're talking about, Michael. I'm not sure who's asking you to do that. I'm launching a 3-day Write Your Bestseller in a Weekend workshop. The beta paid $1,000, and we had 10 people publish their book to bestseller and gave us a 5 by 5 out of 5 rating. I'm thinking of charging $2,997 now. Can you please give me your thoughts on pricing? This is normally a 12 to 25K done for you service, one-on-one, now in a 3-day workshop for a group. And is the book done after the 3 days, or do they leave with a blueprint? I think that matters because I want to get a sense of what it is you're ultimately promising. If you're promising the outcome or you're promising just the instruction. And of the 10 people who published, how many were in the beta group? Is it 100%? Is it some, fraction thereof? Which docuseries, please? Well, it's the CSIB, Council to Save Internet Business, but it's, let's see if I have it. I can just play it real quick. If I do, let's see. If you've watched any of my live streams, and you might have seen it. Let's just see. Let's see if I have it. I'm pretty sure I do. So let's just see here. So I had a sped up one. Bear with me 1 second, Leanne. I think I might also have it on my desktop. Let's see. Yeah, let's just take a look here. And all right. Yeah, so I'll just play it quick. I'll be in the corner. It'll be I think it's like under 2 minutes. Wrong one. Get rid of that. And I'm on, right? Yeah. You guys can hear me, right? Let me just get the right one. Video file. And founder's bonus. Social proof. Let's see. No. Oh, I could have sworn I had it. I can download it real quick. No, I don't think that's it. Oh, that's strange. All right. One last place, guys. Sorry about that. Well, let me return to you guys first. And then I can actually do this both at the same time. All right. So yeah, I'm looking for this one video of our CSIB. Shotguns are efficient for safety and hunting. AK-47s are for going to war. Yeah, but in your house. And I'm not a gun expert. Hey, Daryl and Pompano, good to see you. And Hamza, good to see you, my friend. Do you think VSL is the future rather than static sales page? Really depends. I think right now what people are doing best with, if you can do it and make it more personalized, are the interactive videos. Places like Video Ask or Go Tolstoy. Those would be the ones that I think are the beginning of where things are going. I think you're going to see more interactivity, and I think some of that's going to be based on AI. But that's going to be a couple years down the road. Right now, it's you thinking out the different buckets that people sort themselves in by the interactions. And I would say that that is a better way right now to make VSLs even work. Our market is maritime dry bulk shipping. We have to stand out. Don't want our homepage imagery to be ships. I'm using video of jellyfish, etc., with good taglines about knowledge, cohesion, and vision. I wonder if there's anything special about your food that allows it to last longer in the open sea or anything like that. The first thing I would be thinking of, Tommy, is there a way that you can leverage, is there a way that you could leverage something unique about the product that kind of screams to yours being better? Because ideally, right, that would be the ideal, that you're actually got something there that you actually have something there that not only gets attention, but also illustrates at the very same time that what you're doing is, and what you're offering is different from everyone else. And I think if you can do that, I think you're better off for doing that, right? So I think I found this. Let's see. Is this it? No, I think this is it. Let's see. All right, let's see. All right, so I think I found it. Let's see. Add the video file, and then go back to Dropbox. Go to live stream documentary, CSIB broadcast, now Mars and Michelle, CSIB, story video, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, all right. I could have sworn I made a faster one of these, but I'll just play There's a high risk of mass extinction of internet businesses online. You have the Googles, Yahoos, YouTubes, etc., that are fixing the game with their data and AI. And so what we're here to do is fix that problem. My name is Rich Sheffrin. I've been kind of labeled as the guru to the gurus. Some people call me like an OG of internet marketing. I was the coach to Mike Filsaime, or Ryan Dice, Russell Brunson, Todd Brown. I'm probably the only one in the game that has a single testimonial where I made $1 billion difference in a company. Why am I here? Why do I care? I semi-retired back in 2012. The company that gave me that $1 billion testimonial is Publishing, and they called me because they were already having. So just that, like, that staccato and the way that the images were being shown, and I don't even know if that had the full thing about my predictions becoming correct. I don't think it did, but it had this kind of intense kind of vibe to it, and that's what I was trying to illustrate. Leona, I think Leona, right? Leon. All right. Thanks, Hamza. All right. Okay, awesome. Thank you. I imagine old school bribery still works. I look at this like it's my first engine build. The first one is always the hardest to test. Yeah, but as far as getting in the door, bribery, well, I guess it depends on the person. But, recognize that when you offer to do something for free, right? It's more than just the benefit, right? Like that person's getting. In a very real sense, anytime I endorse something, I'm putting my credibility on the line, and the credibility that's taken me 20 years to build. So someone can't just pay me to say some nice things, because that'll just bite me in the butt if that's what's going on. So when you actually offer to do the thing, you're doing more than just kind of giving them a payoff. You're also making it very, very easy for them to feel good in recommending you and knowing that they're not really risking anything because they can always come back and say, this person did it for me and they got me the result. Now, maybe I got scammed and conned, but like they got me the result. So it's a lot different. And so it's not just a dollar and cents thing, and you shouldn't think it is. And I would imagine, although I could be wrong, that those that you can get on a kind of bribe basis would probably deliver worse results than those who wouldn't, just because I would assume that those that don't probably have a better reputation with their list of what they recommend. The draft is done in day one. Well, the draft is done in day one. All right. So, just trying to think. So, I think that, I don't know if you can, I think you should do Zoom calls with all the 10 beta users. I think that you should have them talk about like how many things they had tried in the past. Did they really think they would be able to write their whole book in a day or have the draft done in a day? Then like what was how did they feel at the end of that day? How do they feel now? Like, I think you got to tell your story through their stories. And I think if you were told correctly, right, like back to back, like, with some kind of time, not one story, then another story, then another story, but kind of like all these different people saying what they thought, then what they experienced in the past, then, like, so you're telling multiple people's story and they all have this wonderful outcome. I think that creates a tension in the viewer that it could happen for them, especially if they identify with where people started. And then I don't know that that's, I think you got to do more than that, but I think that that's like the first step, I would say. Oh, cool. Got it. I'm humbled by your graciousness and helping. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Some took their time to have their books professionally edited, but they would have the formula to publish it. In fact, we do have one person published live, the next 3 published in a week. The rest is still doing their final books. Got it. Obviously, we use the book for selling other services. We don't recommend that they make money from selling the book. Totally get it. But becoming a bestseller on Amazon is our guarantee. Got it. All right. So I still stick to what I'm saying. But ask me something else if I'm not giving you what you need. Am I too late today? Glad I can still catch you guys. Hello, Rich. What's up? What's up, MEJ? That's a different picture of you. Changed your photo. Lost YouTube link. Oh, but yeah, it's somewhere in YouTube. I don't know where it is. Take too long to find. AI outreach programs make working online marketing. Think about working online marketing getting saturated. I'm not sure what the question is, Curtis. I'm not. Yeah, that's good advice. Thank you. Hi, Rich. Hi, Joanne Thompson. So let's see. We were talking about attention. We're talking about that from this day forward, you should really be thinking about any marketing campaign you do, any sales mechanism that you have. How can you maximize its attention-getting ability at the onset? What can be done from a pattern interrupt standpoint, or what can be done in a way that gets people to take a double take, gets people to lean in a little bit more? If you're a Steal Our Winner subscriber, then I'm sure that, well, I would like to hope that you've heard the segment that I did with Walter Birch about tease versus taste. And I think that Walter's really onto something there. And I think that that's a great way of kind of describing how people have become a lot more guarded about giving their attention. And so what has to be done today to get attention is more, better, and different than what was done in the past. And one of the easiest ways is to provide some kind of heavy duty value right up front, right? Because then it creates the additional thought that, oh, if I don't keep going. There's probably going to be stuff that I'm going to miss that I might regret missing. I was asking for the pricing point. I know it should be high ticket, but I'm not sure how much to charge. 2K, 3K, 5K. This is a virtual on Zoom. Planning to do an in-person retreat for 7K or more if we include other stuff like a professional photo shoot, etc. So maybe you charge 5K, but you charge, one way to do it is like 2,500 like to start, and then 2,500 when your book is published. And, most people, like if there's a concern that, they've tried other things and they haven't published yet, then they kind of like the idea that in order for you to get fully paid, you have to get their book published. And, most people won't allow that to stand in their way. So it's kind of like when I sold my very first, I did like a weekend seminar on building out a webinar funnel for your business, excuse me. And I charged $5,000 in full up front, but then when you launched your webinar, another $5,000. And that worked out really well. So that's something to try. Rich, do you have any ideas on how I can generate attention to reactivate a nearly dead LinkedIn group for a career vertical niche? So that's hard because if your way of contacting them is only through LinkedIn, then you're relying on LinkedIn. But let me read more. I created one for a client years ago, and it was a great referral source for them, but was neglected and died. The big reason is to have the case study. I already outlined some ideas. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think if I'm reading it correctly, I think you're kind of at the whim of LinkedIn. I think you probably go into that group and try and rattle up some excitement by something coming. But now you're going to, I think you might be climbing an uphill battle. It might be easier to start one from scratch, which I know is not what you want to do because you want to use it for a case study. So, maybe think about using it as like something that you did in the past and kind of leaving it at that. And if you have pictures of that, and if you don't have pictures of that, don't know that archive.org crawls LinkedIn, but maybe they do. And because, you certainly should be able to use the story even if it's not being used today. There's not a problem with that as long as you can illustrate it. Yes, love the idea. Half now, half later. Thank you. You're welcome. Rich, I heard that AI narrative voice got more attention than human voice. Have you heard such a thing too? Do you think AI narration voice would be the future of YouTube ads per se? Well, look, I would say, Hamza, that there are some people that should never do video for their website, and that their site would be better with no video of them. That might be a mean thing to say. That might be a horrible thing to say, but I'm just going by looking at split tests and things like that. So just like there are people who are made for video and then there are people who are not, I think there are voices that are great to listen to, that feel good listening to, and there are voices that are somewhat grating. I think with an AI voice in general, they've gotten good enough so that it's not as obvious that it is artificial. And yet at the same time, because it can be modified much more easily, it can be much more soothing. So I think that, for some people, that will be a great solution. I also think, though, that for other people, although at some point deep fakes will be as good, if not better than the original. I mean, I don't know if, and I'm not showing it today, but I don't know how many of you saw that video that I made about 2 years ago where I became Brad Pitt and Robert De Niro and Sergey Brin and Jeff Bezos and Joe Rogan and whoever else. And that was not using, software. That was actually using Amazon servers and doing real AI coding on it. So it's only a matter of time, but the message is what's going to be most important. But we're quickly progressing to a point where what's needed is less and less from a human being. I have pictures and proof that there are about 1,000 people trying to get in. They don't know it's dead on the inside. That's part of what would be nice to show, but the other part would be like when it was thriving, or interviewing the person and getting some like powerful statements from whoever you created it for and the impact that it had. And even to this day, there are all these people waiting to get in. So you could kind of show that, and that would work. I give my book away, but the book is not an ebook. Got it. Okay. Len, I'd love to talk about this. I'm looking for someone in HVAC who can educate me on their marketing problems, and you'll get a lot of, for free from me, ideas, strategies, and tactics. There you go. Hopefully a deal has been struck. Good for you guys. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, as am I, and coach, and creating an online and live course. I've done tons of voice of customer and client research and interviews, and I have so much that I am frozen. I'm also intimidated by writing copy, even though I have a copy course. Would you mind sharing the preferred layout of a landing page and perhaps some keyword or phrases that would be attention grabbing? My niche is working with strong, independent women who want the courage to live a life true to themselves. So, what I would say is that I think there are plenty of avatars out there, Suzanne, people that you could look at. So one person that I would recommend looking at, getting some inspiration from, I'm sure you're not going to want to follow her exactly, but is Katrina Ruth, who's, a peer of mine, someone I respect. She's a guru out of Australia, but she has a very live authentic kind of vibe, powerful. So that'd be one. I would also, Maria Forleo, that's more general. Who's another woman that kind of is into that? I would start there. But, it really has to fit with your unique positioning. And at the end of the day, the two ways to, you either have to have I would assume you either need some kind of shocking statement, right? Something that maybe one of your clients have said. A story that resonates with your audience, like their story. But if you do that, you got to start right in the middle of the action. Chris Haddad is a copywriter that happens to be very good at that as it relates to pickup and relationship type of products. That's where I'd start. The easiest way when you get frozen is to just take a step back and model what's currently working as a starting point. It always kind of simplifies the task at hand. Ooh, okay. All right, let's just see where we're at. Wow, okay. A lot of questions all of a sudden, or maybe I just didn't see them. I'm a real estate broker working with seniors, downsizing into a retirement community. It dawns on me that I might be able to talk to the taste and smell senses by using imagery of odors and taste they will be realizing by having their meals prepared for them by an excellent chef. Could work. Kind of the same idea of baking cookies in a new house. I've heard that works too. Hello, Mike. What's your favorite method of creating loops? Do you anchor one loop or multiple? Ideally, I go from loop. I open a bunch of loops at the same time. So not at the same time, but I open one loop, then I keep going, open another loop, keep going open, and I close them all at the end. That would be the ideal, Hamza, if you're asking me. Hamza, AI voice is so cheap. If you want to hire real human voices, it will cost you a lot, and it's hard to test. I know that for sure from my experience with Profit Singularity. Got it. Emmy, what's your experience? Is AI voice working for you? Hamza, we use AI voice for all our voiceovers. Very good. It's things like this that keep me awake at night. Thanks, Tommy. Good to know. Thank you. Emmy, what system are you using in Profit Singularity? What tool for the AI voice? James, hope you guys are running YouTube ads for lead gen as they have been performing very well for real estate brokerages. No competition. Yeah, everything's doing best on YouTube these days. Timestamp, what's currently working? Appreciative inquiries, trend, success-based starting audit. Okay, I assume that's a note to yourself, Gogo. Sorry, Hamza, incorrect spelling your name. Try a product called Speechello. We are using it. I will write down that. Speechello? Okay. Cool. Yes, loving Lovo AI for voices. All right, another one. Lovo AI. All right, let's see. What's interesting, and I don't know that I want to go into all this today, but what's interesting is that when someone gets a lot of attention, then their attention is more valuable. So there's this ever ongoing flywheel effect of the value of someone's attention based on the amount of attention they get. And it's just really fascinating. I've done a bunch of live streams in the past where we talked about attention in general, how to get the best leverage out of your own, which ultimately your life is going to be made up of where you place attention. And how you think about life is greatly determined by where you place attention and where you don't. So this idea around attention being such a vital component to both your marketing success, your business success, and your life is should make it really concrete and real for you. And so there's always going to be more things battling for your attention than you have attention inventory. So you're always deciding where to place your attention. And when we boil it all back down, the easiest way to get a bump in performance is, with nothing else changing, is to figure out something unique, something different, something new that when your prospect sees it, buys you an extra couple of seconds. Since this is my first live stream back and I am super way behind, and I mean way behind because I've been away for 3 weeks, I'm going to get back to my other work. I'll answer any last questions that people have. What I'm going to do on Thursday, and I'm doing it for somewhat selfish reasons, but also selfless reasons. I thought I'd give you guys an update on my biohacking and everything that I'm doing. I wanted to do that anyway so that I could just give myself a reason to take an inventory. Not sure how many of you have seen like what's transformed in my body over the last, I'd say 6 months or 8 months, but I'm certainly in the best shape of my life by a long shot. And so I want to share some of the things that I believe are causing that and what's made it so shocking. It's kind of weird to be in the best shape of my life in my 50s because I was in bad shape in my 40s either. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys. And I am looking at the other comments here, and I see that that there's nothing really that pressing. Hamza, I don't follow a formula for VSLs, but maybe Matt does. You'd have to ask him. I'm much more of a creative than anything else. And so Thursday from 6 to 8, we'll be talking about what I'm doing on the biohacking side, plus a bunch of tools that I've just ordered that I'm super stoked to get. And so got a bunch of legwork to do. I do want to get back to attention at some point. I'd really like to put some more thought into it for you guys so that I could actually give you some like starting approaches to really brainstorm off of. That will have to be at a different time, but let's call it a day for today. So I have done a few Steal Our Winners on, not a few. I've done 2 Steal Our Winners, one on YouTube, on TikTok advertising, and one on TikTok to Amy, who asked about TikTok. So until Thursday, to higher profits and beyond, Rich Sheffrin over and out.